allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And before we get started with the business of the meeting, I would like to, with much sadness, announce that one of our Halfmoon Township employees and longtime residents, Hassel France, has passed away. We send our good wishes and peaceful thoughts to his family and wish them well through this difficult time. And I would like to take a moment of silence in honor of Hassel and his contribution and his life. So if we could please bow our heads, close our eyes for a few moments of silence. Thank you very much. Do we want to go ahead and do the roll call first so we can see who's here?
Yes, we'll start with you, Chair Del Corso.
I am here.
Vice Chair Strauss.
I am here remotely.
Supervisor Hartle.
Here.
Supervisor Piper, not present. Supervisor Beck is not present.
Okay, so we have 3 here for a quorum. Okay. Next up is the opening announcements. So Denise, you want to go ahead and do those?
Yes, as always, this is being recorded live and is available on CNET's YouTube channel. We have a link for that on the agenda. We're also asking for Township residents' email addresses. Even if you've signed up in the past, click on our homepage and hit contact us. You'll get any of our updates and news announcements. We're also looking for residents to volunteer on different boards or committees. If you have any interest in this, please contact me or look at our website. We also have Movie in the Park night coming this Saturday. It starts at 7, and the Lions Club will be here with light snacks and some food for sale, and the Boy Scouts will be helping us with that as well.
Fantastic.
The Township and an association called Barn, which is Building Anti-Racist Neighborhoods, will be hosting a meet and greet event here at the Municipal Park. Sunday, September 12th. The event is from 4 to 7, and more information is on our website. We'll be hosting a dog show, and nonprofits will be here. Some of the supervisors will be here. I will be here since we didn't really get a chance to meet most of the residents at the beginning of my tenure. And then lastly, we had an executive session regarding a personnel issue that was held on Thursday, July 22nd, 2021. It was from 8:30 p.m. until 9:02, and no decisions were made.
Thank you very much. And I just want to highlight again the 2 community events that we have coming up, because that's a great opportunity to get everybody out and together as close as we can be with the changing COVID environment. But it would be really nice to see everybody live and in person. I will say I saw so many people during the Art in the Orchard at Way Fruit Farm. And it was so nice to actually see residents versus just their names on the Facebook, like Stormstown Neighbors page or something like that. So please come out if you're available and share the evenings with your fellow neighbors. Okay, at this time we'll take any citizen comments on any items that are not already on the agenda. So if anyone is watching, we don't have anybody live. Did you receive any comments?
I didn't receive any comments ahead of time. There's nobody on our Zoom meeting.
Okay.
As far as YouTube,
Nothing happening. Alrighty. Okay, so next up is the approval of the agenda for this evening. So if you had any additions or things that you wanted to change about the agenda, now is the time to do it. If not, I'll take a motion to approve the agenda.
I move that we approve the agenda as is.
Thank you, Bob.
I'll second.
Patty, thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did I hear you, Bob?
Yes, aye.
Thank you. All right, ayes have it. We will move along then to, let's see, no subdivision information. Approval of the minutes from July 22nd.
I'll move that we approve the minutes from the Board of Supervisors July 22nd, 2021 meeting.
Thank you. Bob?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Bob. Is there anything of note in the minutes to
Actually-
change? Yeah.
I'm sorry, just a kind of a procedural question. I was absent from the last meeting because I was away on vacation. Is it appropriate for me to vote on those minutes? Because as I read them, I couldn't tell you if they were correct or not because I wasn't at that meeting.
Normally, you can abstain from voting, yes.
Then you can approve
But we
them.
only have three
Only can't.
to
But
make
he
a
can
quorum. That's the
He
problem.
can vote?
He can.
Okay. Denise said that you can vote.
Okay, that's fine. I just want to make sure.
Okay. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the minutes say aye. Aye.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Next up is our consent agenda, which is approving the bills. So if there are any specific items that we would like to pull out of that consent agenda to discuss, then we would need to vote on each item individually. If we are comfortable with the consent agenda, then we can approve it as one motion.
I just want to question one thing that obviously jumps out. In the general funds bills list, the Halfmoon Township Parks and Rec and the Halfmoon Equipment Funds, 37,000, 30,000. Obviously, they're transfers from the resolution for our budget from last year. But are those specific categories, or I don't understand, why would it be broken in two like that? And if we're just moving money to cover, you know what I mean? Just kind of elaborate for me a little bit.
Because they're separate funds. So anytime it counts as an expense.
Okay.
So it shows up on the balance sheet accounts, and it'll show up in the profit and loss. So it shows because it's an inter-fund transfer versus an intra-fund transfer. So we're not just moving money from a checking to a savings, we're moving it into different funds.
Okay. All right, thanks.
Okay, well, that was a question before we moved the motion for the consent agenda, but that's okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay?
I move that we approve the consent agenda for this evening's meeting.
And I'll second.
Thank you, Bob. So the motion is to approve the consent agenda, which contains payments for the bills list for July 18th through August 6th of 2021. All those in favor say aye.
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 All right, majority has it. There is no old business, so we will move along to the new business. And we have Joe Vigiloni here as well to help answer any questions that we have. The new business, do you want to introduce? You want me to?
Actually, and
Yeah.
if you want to come sit up at the front, that would
Thanks,
be
Jen.
great, and introduce yourself.
Lovely.
And we also have Eric Nordberg,
Oh,
who's
Eric
the
is on. Hi, Eric.
executive director for the COG. So
Thanks for letting me attend remotely.
Sure.
if you guys, one of you want to take it and roll with it, I'll go with that. That's probably a lot easier.
Eric?
Sure, I'd be happy to kick this off. This is part of our annual budget preparation process. About 2 months ago, staff started working on developing the program plan for 2022, which is in the condensed format like we prepared last year. But we also this year have prepared what we're calling the program preface, which you should have received last week, either in electronic format or hard copy format. And the program preface is the background for all of our programs, facilities, and operations. So it's both a handy resource as you're reviewing the program plan, but also helpful for newly elected officials, new employees, that sort of thing for orientation. So the two guides can be used together, but tonight we're really going to talk about the program plan and the capital improvement program. The goal, as has been referred to each of the municipalities' general forum, is to have a conversation with your board to discuss the recommendations and proposed additions to the budget for next year that are outlined in the program plan, and give us any feedback. We're looking for consensus from each of the municipalities, and next week we will review that feedback with the Finance Committee and the Executive Committee, and then that will be forwarded to the General Forum at the end of the month. The General Forum meeting, I think it's the 23rd. So tonight, Joe and I are here to help answer any questions, but this is really an opportunity for your board to chat and reach consensus on any positions or recommendations that you wanted to make regarding any of the items on the comment guide. So with that, we'll take questions if you have any.
Thank you. So the process, and I apologize, I was a little bit late in getting these instructions out to the rest of the board to remind you all that to try and prepare ahead of time your comments in the guide. So what we're basically going to go do is, if you could possibly open the guide that has each of the items, the comment guide.
Yeah.
This
This is what's compiled thus far, so you can.
Oh, okay. I was gonna see. Can you
It's just
type
a
in
different
that?
format. I can't.
Oh, okay. Because if you want the Word doc, then we could. We can also look at what's already there. But
yeah.
so how do we want to collect the consensus then?
I'll write it.
Are you okay
Yeah.
writing it? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Do you want me to do it?
No.
Okay. So then basically we're going to go down through each of the items that have, especially the shoulds, because that's a budgetary question that for input. So that's what we're going to do. We can look at the notes, but I'm really not concerned about commenting on any of the notes unless the supervisors here had a question or comment about one of the notes. So I'd like to go through the shoulds. And then also as a reminder, I'm sure we could provide comment for the programs that we don't participate in, but we do not have to, because we will not be voting on the budget items for instance, the Parks and Rec and Fire Protection. Pretty sure that might be the only ones. Refuse
Yes.
and refuse. So that saves us a little bit of time in some of that commenting, providing our comments. So, do you want to start at the top?
Yes. Do you want to just start with the comments guide? Okay.
Yep. So page 19.
Hey,
Yeah, go ahead.
Denise, what exactly is that you have? Because I can't see it.
Oh,
It's
I am so
way
sorry.
far away. Is there a way? Can you screen share that?
Yes, I can.
Because
Well,
I mean, I have it here too, but you said there's notes in it, and I'd like to see them.
Well, from the other town.
the notes are from the other township, Bob. So,
Oh,
which
okay.
is
I thought maybe you guys had already gotten your
No.
notes together.
no, we did
I'm
not.
sorry. Ooh, that's still awful small.
Yeah, that's why I was wondering if we can just maybe.
Yeah, okay, never mind. I can't read that anyway. It's too tiny.
Do you have it open on
getting
your
it.
own
My eyes don't.
screen, Bob?
I'm sorry.
Do you have the comment guide open on your own screen? So if I say look at item,
I have it
Okay, perfect.
right here.
Let's just do that. And what we're going to do is I'll do the page number as the item.
Gotcha.
So we'll
Gotcha.
start with page 19, which is asking about hiring human resource administrator and a finance administrator. And just,
I'm sorry, Danelle.
yes,
There was one item where that was a note. I just did have a question on that.
sure,
The
go ahead.
First
Yep,
item.
go ahead.
I was wondering, is the merit increase for everyone, the plus 1.5 merit increase, is that for everyone across the board? Or is that you can get up to a 1.5 merit increase?
It's up to, so there's a section in the human resources policies that indicate, that if it's within a certain range, then it's up to the discretion of the supervisor and agency director up to the 1.5. If it's less or more than a certain amount, then it needs to have further approval and justification. For example, if somebody's not performing adequately and somebody
Sure.
wants to give a really low amount, or somebody wants to exceed that 1.5, but it's budgeted that way for each agency so that there's that range option for everybody.
Okay, and it probably ends up averaging out anyway, so I would think to about that.
Joe can answer that question.
The 1.5% is a merit pool. So when it goes into the budget, it's budgeted as a merit pool. So that's where it is in there. And then the agency directors can go, as Eric said, based upon justification within their own departments and on the employee's annual evaluation.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move to, it's the section under Office of Administration Budget, page 19, about hiring a human resources administrator and a finance administrator. And just as a reminder to the supervisors here and anybody else watching, the numbers that are listed there include salary plus benefits. So I know if you look at it at first, you might think it's just the salary alone, but it's the comprehensive all costs associated with that new hire.
I'm sorry. We actually just reviewed this at the HR committee level and approved it. And I would be remiss if I had any objections to it at this point. So I think we should absolutely, it will free up a lot of free time for the agency directors to not have to deal with the remedial day-to-day things as much, and then they can go out and do the things that they're trained to do. So.
Patty, did you have any comments on it?
No, like I said, I've been through it before too.
Oh,
with the
yeah, you have too.
Finance committee, so
Yes.
no, I'm good.
Yep, I think that's all. The only other, I didn't have a question or comment about that, but one note that I did have that maybe, Bob, you could take back to the HR committee, or Eric, it might be nice at like even an annual basis just to get a summary of the HR statistics, number of employees, like just in general. Like if somebody asked me how many COG employees there were, I couldn't tell anybody. And that's not a big deal. It's a very low priority, but maybe just a report back to the general forum from HR.
I'll make a note of that. It is something that's provided, I think, annually to the HR committee, but I'll make a note that we should put that as a matter of record for the whole general forum when it comes to the HR committee as well.
Yep, that'd be good enough. Thank you.
Good to
Okay,
know.
sure. All right, so we got those comments. Page 20, should $45,000 be budgeted for the first COG-wide classification and compensation study in 15 years, as recommended by the HR committee? I'll go first. One question that I had, and I know it has been a long time since that study was done, what is the issue that is triggering a need for a study? So I'm wondering if there are problems that are existing to be solved.
There are a couple of things that, because it has been so long, there have been instances in a couple of agencies, like with the lifeguards a couple of years ago, with some of the code staff a few years back, that there have been arguments made because it was difficult to recruit or salaries were not competitive, that in certain areas, the analysis has been done for those areas, but that really has left a lot of staff throughout the organization feeling like they've been ignored, that their job description hasn't been reviewed in a while. They may be doing things that hasn't been included in their job description, or that their salary or compensation generally doesn't fit the market anymore. So really, this is something that should be done at least every 3 to 4 years, and we're way beyond that. But one of the things that's really been highlighted just in the past few months, but really was building over the past couple of years, is the difficulty in recruiting for some of our positions. We have positions vacant in Parks and Recreation right now, in maintenance, our seasonal positions, some of our lifeguard positions. It's been very difficult as well to recruit for certain positions within the code agency because of our salary and lack of competitiveness. And so I think making sure that we have things up to date will make sure we're fairly compensating all of our staff, and it makes it easier and more competitive to recruit when the time comes.
I guess my own comment, and it probably will be similar comments throughout, is, and I know that these are the same comments almost every year, I think, with the program plan, is that there's a lot of dollars associated with consulting and studies. And I'm sure you'll get more comments from others as well. Anything that we can do to, is there a reason that we can't do some in-house with existing resources, or tap into, I'm always going to throw out there Penn State resources? That could be a great human resources course project or anything like that. I don't know. So I always want that to be kind of an option. That was my only comment.
And I would just note that one of the things we expect to need to do is work with each of the agencies and supervisors to begin the preliminary review, to do as much of the review of job descriptions as we can before turning it over to the consultant that is hired, because we do want to work on as much as we can in-house before turning it over. And I understand the point that you're making, and we are also looking at partnering. College Township is partnering in this RFP as well, as a way to potentially pool and save resources by joining together on the RFP.
Sorry, I talked too much. Bob or Patty? Any comments from you all?
Would you like that to be a comment that goes officially?
That would be lovely. I would.
Everybody
Is that
okay with
okay if you guys, are you okay with my comment, Bob and Patty?
Yes.
Yeah, I share some similar sentiments about throughout the program plan. I mean, it's a lot of money that we spend on consultation fees. I get it. It's a necessary evil in what we do, but it is hard to sometimes justify to those on the outside looking in who are, you know, a little alarmed at the amount of money that is spent. And, you know, it's consulting and it's just hard to explain away. So.
Patty?
Right, but I think in this case too, like some of the other ones, it can be justified. You know, it has been 15 years,
sure.
and sometimes the studies will actually end up helping us be more efficient or saving money in the long run, depending on how they're implemented. And I like what Eric said, if we're better prepared before we go into
Yes.
for the consultant, then we can be more efficient and make use of their expertise. But I think in this case, it's justified
Yeah.
because you can't let it go too long.
Right.
You run into more issues.
And knowing that hiring and onboarding is a very expensive process, if it's difficult to do and you have to repeat that process, yeah, definitely. Okay?
So support, but look into other resources or partners to help offset the consulting costs.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay, anyone have any comment about the note on page 20? Moving along, we'll go to the, should $10,000 be budgeted to implement the initial recommendations of the IT study to be completed in the first quarter 2022? Go ahead.
I would like to give an emphatic yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I've been through this, and yeah, we have to have some funds there so that we can immediately implement some vital
So
things
here
out
was
of the
my
study.
question. I was like, what are we gonna be able to implement for 10 grand? If, I'm assuming that there's gonna be some big projects coming out of an IT study. 10,000 actually didn't seem like that much to me. But I don't know where that number came from as far as an anticipation of what the first project may be. Any ideas,
Really,
Eric?
it's kind of a contingency placeholder. We're not sure what will come out of this. My concern might be that there could be discovered some security or other risk management types of things that won't be like replace a huge application or whatever, but that might be somewhat focused. But if it's anything more than that, it's probably a big enough problem. If it's urgent enough to do in 2022, we'll need to come back to the executive committee in general forum to discuss and figure out with the finance committee how to pay for it. But my overall plan is and expectation is that we'll be developing a 5-year plan with this study, so that as we develop next year's program plan for 2023, that we'll be laying out the game plan going forward with this study.
So that was a yes, we support that.
Yes, I'm looking
though. Yeah.
I think that page number's wrong.
20?
Well, they all say 20, 20,
It's a-
20, 20.
No, I mean, no, it doesn't. It's there it was at the bottom of the page.
Oh, you mean into the program itself?
In the program
Gotcha.
plan, yeah, it was at the bottom of the page, it started, okay. All right, moving along to the section under COG Building Capital Budget, page 26. Should $15,000 be budgeted to complete the final recommendation phase of improvements to the general forum meeting room, which basically, I'm not gonna read all those different things. It's to help with the audiovisual pieces.
Yes.
My answer was yes as well. Bob?
2 thumbs up.
Yep. Okay, that's an easy one. We'll move along. Page 26 also, should $40,000 be budgeted to improve the administrative offices to provide workspaces for the proposed 2 additional staff? I'll let Bob or Patty speak first.
Patty, do you want to?
Yeah, I don't recall us discussing this one. Is this isn't included in space that was just recently renovated? Is this different space?
This is correct. This is Office of Administration space. This is the one area of the COG building that hasn't been recently redone in the last few years. And basically the Office of Administration was initially constructed to house 5 staff. and now we have 6 right now, including the facilities coordinator, and we're adding 2 additional ones within the budget.
Is this your offices up on the second floor?
This is our office on
Okay.
the second floor.
With the reception space in the
Exactly.
front.
So
Okay.
we're going to look to try to turn some of that reception space into office and, reconfigure where everybody goes within there.
Okay.
The most recent renovation was primarily the code space, is correct?
Code, and the first floor is Parks and Rec, and then some of the planning suite, but it never made it to the administration.
Okay. Bob, do you have comment?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I didn't realize you guys would actually be like doing construction for this. Because my comment was $40,000 seems kind of high, but I was thinking furniture and that kind of stuff. I didn't realize you'd be having to build actual space. So I guess it does still seem kind of high. I get you guys are cramped, but again, it's, we're coming off of a COVID year and we got to make money stretch. So I don't know. I don't disapprove, but I just feel like that budget item is kind of big. So.
Well, I think it's a little misleading.
If I could interject, the number was generated by our facilities coordinator based on projections. We have not actually costed out and done designs yet because we're still waiting approval on the positions that you talked about a few minutes ago. And we'll need to look at what the implications will be if we set up cubicles or reconfigure. We will certainly try to do this as cost effectively as possible and minimize the expense, but try to make better use of the space that's there. If you recall the last time you were there walking through and how many curbs there are and some attractive design work, but it's not necessarily as efficient as possible to fit in additional desks and workspaces. And because some of the things that are being talked about with HR staff need a little bit of privacy, we'll need to make sure that that's secure as well. So, but we will do this as cost effectively as possible. So I would view this as a not to exceed number rather than a hard and fast top number.
Pat?
Great, thanks, Eric. I appreciate that. I have a suggestion. They make bunk beds, you can make bunk desks. One guy sits at the top, this guy sits at the bottom, you guys will be fine.
They need to raise the roof on that one. Patty, what were you gonna?
Yeah, I was gonna say, because the way it says for proposed 2 additional staff, but it's basically not just taking available space and setting in 2 cubicles. You're gonna rework the whole space to make it work for 8 people. So it's basically, you might want
Right.
to, it's really reconfiguring your administrative area
Yeah.
and doing that, not just adding an area, furniture for 2 people, because that's
Yeah.
what I thought. You
Right,
think
right,
furnace,
right.
So now
and-
that I understand it better, yeah, that makes sense.
And I kind of echo a little bit of Bob's sentiment where it does seem like I understand it might be nice to get that budgeted, but maybe like let's wait until we get people here, figure out something with the space as is. If you need to bunk 2 people together in shared space that doesn't maybe need the privacy quite as much. Yeah, I'm a little hesitant to spend that money. So I will say yes with hesitation.
I'm saying maybe budget and wait, but generally supports.
General support, but if there was a way to be uncomfortable for a short amount of time to see what the flow is like, but yeah, I'm a little hesitant to spend the money.
I'll make that pretty sounding without so much.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay. Number 20 or page 27 says, should 17,500 be budgeted to re-lamp the COG building and parking lot fixtures with LED lamps to yield estimated 34,000 in energy savings over 10 years? So I'm also going to say yes because we've been talking a lot about sustainability and a lot about energy, and if we don't put our money where our mouth is, then we're not doing ourselves any justice with our strategic planning. So I'm saying yes.
You're absolutely right, Danelle. And the energy savings between whatever light fixtures you guys have now and LEDs, I'm sure is quite substantial. So it's definitely, I mean, just speaking for myself, I changed all my bulbs in my home to LED lights, and I noticed a direct impact to my electric bill the next month. So it's definitely worth it.
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay, good. We'll move along to the next item on page 27. Should improvements to the COG HVAC system be funded to improve indoor air quality to benefit staff and visitors? Estimated cost is $47,000, possibly funded with insurance reserve funds. And I had a slight question about that. I'm going to go first. My first question is there some significant issue that we are addressing that is causing not good air quality?
Well, if I could jump in, and I'll let Joe maybe address the funding question, but in terms of the air quality, what we're trying to do is with our current COVID situation, try to recirculate, get fresh air into the building more frequently and more regularly, so that we're providing better indoor air quality, generally speaking, for staff. That's our main focus, but also looking at the efficiency of the systems as well. There's a project elsewhere in this comment guide and in the program plan for doing a similar project at the library. Both systems, HVAC systems, are somewhat older now, and standards were different at that time, and now we are trying to address pandemic-related concerns, and so that's the scope of these two projects. But I will note that on this item and the previous one, our facility coordinator, Lou Reingard, yesterday, I believe, met with First Energy. There are some rebate programs and some energy conservation programs that just came out since all of this was printed, and there's a high possibility that we'll be able to leverage rebates or discounts and other assistance from First Energy on the HVAC improvements, as well as the LED lighting improvements. So that could significantly reduce the out-of-pocket expenditures, and that may be developed over the next month or so as we're preparing the detailed budget.
That's fantastic. That's what I like to hear, too. Okay, Patty or Bob?
Well, I am a lot more on board with it if we get those insurance reserve funds to pay for it, or at least the majority of it. And it's, again, it's a torn situation. You know, if it's an air quality thing, the first thing you think of is, well, that could wait, because the air quality can't be too bad. You folks are already working there. But then you think of, oh my goodness, we're in a time of COVID, and we need air filtration and to keep our people safe. So it's kind of, which way do you go? You know, the money is a problem, but people being sick is a problem. So it's hard to say.
Patty, any comment?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Yeah, I was trying to read and understand a little bit about the insurance reserve funds, and I didn't really understand it, but I'm going to assume that they are used for specific items only.
Typically, we've used insurance reserves to the preponderance, like 90% of the funds, to offset medical insurance premiums.
That's awesome.
Half of it off towards going back to municipalities, and half of it going towards reductions in staff co-pays. It's sort of a reward for good purchasing and healthy behaviors. And going backwards to even the previous one within the HVAC improvements, we received in the past year a very large insurance reserve check, which was far in excess of what we budgeted, and we budget is on the 5-year average. So the extra that we were going, we thought a good way to keep staff healthy. An idea was to improve the air quality and use some of those funds to improve the air quality in those buildings as a way to keep staff and the visitors to those locations healthy. So that was sort of the idea. And a lot of that research being done for the HVAC systems was done by Don Frank when he was doing the acting as, I guess, intern, senior volunteer for the facilities committee, and then Lou picked it up, and with his hospital background, he was able to sort of go to the next level as well with that.
Okay. I think we would all say yes, absolutely, if we use the insurance reserves, for sure. Or any other kind of funding. So, okay. You got that okay?
So supports if
Yes.
using.
And I don't think we would not
Insurance.
support if we didn't. Is there anyone that would say, no, don't put that money in the budget if we did not have funds that we could get?
No, I don't think I would. I mean, it just makes it a little more painful.
Yeah. Okay. Lovely. We're moving on to the next section is under Office of Administration. This is where the insurance reserve funds are listed. And as Joe just mentioned, if funds become available, there's a suggestion here on how to potentially utilize that, which is the insurance premiums, dedicating about $7,500 to the wellness program expansion. And we already mentioned about the HVAC systems. So I say yes.
Yes.
Patty says yes. Bob?
Yes, I would spend it on the safety and wellness. So.
Okay. Okay, no other comments there. Any comments on the note under emergency management operating? Page 36 or page 40 or 41, 42.
Well, 41's a should.
Oh, wait, what did I miss?
That's the code. 41 starts code.
Ah, gotcha.
40 starts.
Yeah, 40 has the note.
40 has a note. Oh, I missed the heading. I'm sorry. Yep, we're under the Center Region Code Administration now. So I'm going to go to this item under page 41. Says, should the Center Region Code Agency proceed with plans to move to electronic equipment in the field? So if so, preparatory phase to begin the converting plans and design documents to electronic format, blah, 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 blah. First year cost is about $25,000. Annual service cost is about $6,000, which would be covered by the savings. So, go ahead, Bob.
Personally give that a big giant yes. Again, we're supposed to be leading in the way in the new technology, the greener technology. So what better example can we set?
And I would hope that efficiencies come along with doing the electronic equipment in the field and so I hope that some cutting out some other administration possibly would happen. I don't know if, Eric, you know that or not.
I can elaborate a little bit. You're correct on the efficiencies. This will initially be very beneficial in having all of the rental permits and inspection records digitized so that an inspector might go in the field and say, have access on the tablet to the previous inspections and notice if anything didn't get taken care of or was a previous history of a problem or something like that. So reduce paper, but also a lot of that paper is stored on site right now for easy access. So as we go through the digitizing process, we'll save space and we won't have to continue to store as much paper and we'll be able to free up some of that storage space over time.
Excellent. So mine's a yes. Bob, you said yes. Patty, yes. Okay. Lovely. We'll move along.
So supports no additional comment.
Correct. That's page 42. That's a note. That's a note. That's a note. Anybody have any other comments about the notes under code? Patty, no? Okay, next section is also code, but new construction program budget. Just 3 notes under that. Any comments? Okay, we'll move along. Couple notes under existing structures. Any comments? Okay. Capital budget under code now. Page 42/52. Should the code administration proceed with plans to move an electric vehicle fleet? If so, pilot phase, the cost of the pilot program includes charging stations up to $35,000. My answer is yes, or my comment is yes. Bob?
The $35,000 on the charging stations, how many stations does that get you? Do we know?
It would take care of setting us up for 4 vehicles, charging stations for 4, which is the point at which we would have to really do a major upgrade to go to the next level. We'd have to expand the
Electrical.
transformer
Yeah.
capacity and run a new electric service in. And part of the discussion is that we had with the facilities committee and the finance committee is this is an opportunity to do a pilot this year, make sure we're comfortable with the technology and the process, and also to resolve some of the questions that will be discussed over the next few weeks regarding the COG building lease. And then we can make some determinations about future investment in the building and the site for such things as electric vehicle charging. So because this question has been lingering, as well as some issues with chip delivery and delivery of vehicles and the intention over the past 2 years during the pandemic to delay purchases of vehicles. All of this ties in this item with the next item to then talk about the replacement of the first round of vehicles that we've done in the past couple of years with plug-in hybrid vehicles, so that we can go with hybrid vehicles as well as plug them in to charge overnight.
Excellent. Okay, so we'll move along to that note about the hybrid vehicles, the vehicle replacements. So the pilot would have 4 charging stations, but we're looking to initially have 2 plug-in vehicles. Is that what I'm hearing or seeing?
Thought there would be
2 plug-in hybrid escapes.
And there's on the second bullet, there's 2 in the first bullet under the first sub
I
bullet,
see
and then
that.
there's 2 more on the second bullet.
Oh, replace 2. I see.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that would be the 4 vehicles. I gotcha. Okay. My only question about the electric vehicles is why Ford? Just wondering if there's any research or who is suggesting Ford over like the Prius or any other kind of electric vehicle or other new hybrids coming out.
Typically, U.S. vehicles would be what you'd be purchasing under co-stars in the competitive market. So,
U.S. built
U.S.
vehicles.
built vehicles.
What about Teslas? That's all I'm saying. They're built in the U.S. Just throwing that out there. Okay, that's all. Lovely. We'll move along.
Is that any other comment than support?
I don't think so. No, that's good.
Don't worry, guys, I like Fords.
I'm fine with it, just saying. Okay. The next section is under the SCLO Center Region Library operating budget. There are a couple notes first. Any comment on the notes? Okay, we'll move down to page 54. Should the library material budget be increased to meet patron demand for bestsellers and ebooks and audiobooks while aiming to meet the state standard to devote 12% of expenditures to collections? So it says the library anticipates a $7,500 to $10,000 increase in electronic resources budget. Mike, go ahead.
Do me a favor, and this might seem like a dumb question, but maybe my fever's coming back. Expenditures to collections. Are we speaking of collections as in these folks haven't paid their book fine? Or are we talking about collections of books that, I just need that clarification.
I think the collections is books, yes.
That's what I thought, but
Yeah.
just for a moment there, I was like, wait, what? So, okay, thank you.
Yes,
Um,
the state standard is 12% of your budget going towards collections and
Yes.
library materials. That's been waived the last few years with state funding being cut and different things along that lines. And this is that request back to there.
Gotcha.
My comment is yes. Especially, you use the library resources more if they have the things that you're looking for. So
Absolutely.
just recently I was looking for some audiobooks and some of the ones that I wanted that were out or they weren't there, and I will absolutely use it more if the things that I want are there. So I think, did we all say yes?
Yes,
Okay, awesome.
I did.
Supports, no additional comments?
Correct. Page 55 is, should the library invest in remote library material pickup lockers, $5,000 to $10,000, and associated increases in delivery service fees for remote locations up to $5,000 to expand library services throughout the service area?
Can someone elaborate on what exactly a remote pickup locker is? I mean, I guess I
I
get
can't.
the gist,
I
but
can too. Any of us
I was
can.
just
Go
gonna
ahead.
Say, so this was something I met with Lisa, the Schlo Library Director, and we talked about how do we get books out to people in Halfmoon Township because of the fact that a lot of people said they don't like the parking there and they think it's too far of a drive. We talked about a remote book locker, which is similar to, I don't know, Bob, if you've ever gone to like Home Depot, they have those lockers where you put in like a pin and it opens and you can get a package there.
Yeah.
Amazon has them now for everything.
Amazon has a similar thing downtown, and okay.
Yeah, so we were
So
looking
it's the
at.
same principle.
Yes, and so we talked to Jason at Ways about having one at Ways, and he was amenable to it. So I think this is kind of one of those things that they're looking at doing.
Yeah, it's definitely, and I know there's other areas too. Having the school library downtown has its benefits, but for a lot of the area, it also has its deterrence of trying to get downtown and you want to go there quickly. Sometimes it's not so quick. So this is a way to get the services out to the patrons without them having to go into town.
You can request things through the bookmobile too, and they'll
Yes.
get them even through
That's, I
SCLO.
think, losing its, and it's at its end of life. So we have we would have a pickup location at Way, and then a drop off at Brothers.
What's losing its,
I believe it's the
bookmobile?
bookmobile's losing its ability to keep going as far as
And that's the
vehicle.
center county lot,
Yeah,
right?
it's
That's
the
the center
library.
county.
They can still get, they'll get from anywhere if you put a request in.
Okay.
You can still get it from SCLO.
So
Great.
my comment, oh, go ahead, Eric.
Just chime in real
Yep.
quick. All of the points that were made are correct. The other thing that this complements is a program that started last academic year for the schools. State College Area School District partners with the library for books to also be made available to students. So the Slow to School program enables students to reserve books, have them delivered to their school to pick up as well. So we really are trying to do this thing also to get the books out to our patrons wherever they are in the community. And the distance for Half Moon can be a barrier. So we do want to try this as a pilot. If this turns out to be very successful, there may be other locations that this would really be feasible for. But we think this is a good first step, and the library board is enthusiastic about this. And your library board rep has been a strong advocate for this idea.
Excellent.
I think it's a reasonable investment
Yeah.
to try to see
I
if
do
it's
too. Okay.
successful.
So I think we all say yes. Bob, you're in agreement?
Yeah, can I, just a comment? I think it's a splendid idea, and I think it should be made very visible and very clear that this is from the library, so it's out here in our community. We get a lot of question about the size of our contribution to the library, and I think some of the folks who don't use the library because they're so far away kind of view it as it's way out there. It's not. It's like out of sight, out of mind, and I don't understand why I'm paying for this. If they can see something tangible in the community from that organization that the community helps pay for, I think it will go a long way toward people really coming around to the library program.
Yep, lovely. Okay,
Supports nor further comments?
yep. So next is about the school library capital budget. There is a note in there, and I don't think we have anybody have any comments about the note? Okay, next up is Center Regional Planning Agency. Page 61, should a half-time communications manager be hired in 2022 to assist in developing communication strategy, assist with print and broadcast media, strengthen social media platforms, blah, 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 blah. Salary and benefits for this proposed position is $41,000. So that's salary and benefits. I have a resounding yes, as long as potentially also that resource can be used if resource time allows for municipalities to help with economies of scale and shared resources. So I kind of always want us to think in terms of not just a resource for COG, but COG is the municipalities. And I know that there's a lot of communication enhancements, I think, that we could make around the region with each municipality and how we communicate with residents on various things. So if there was someone that could help with that, that would be amazing, I think. So mine's yes. Patty?
Yes.
Bob?
You said everything exactly how I wanted to.
So, I'm sorry, that's yes if the municipalities.
It's not necessarily an if. As I also want it to always be the use of COG resources for all municipalities, I want to be in the forefront because that's the whole purpose of a COG, is to have economies of scale and shared resources. So everybody doesn't need their own communications resource. We could have one that could be shared amongst the municipalities.
Okay, please ensure municipalities also benefit from this shared resource.
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
yes.
Great.
Yeah, I think it could go a long way having an actual, like, media professional, so to speak, who can help us with our communications. I think that's a large part of any municipal government
Yes.
problems stems from a lack of communication or a lack of good communication to the public because it's so difficult.
Correct.
And we're all so busy doing our own things that we don't have time to think about that all the time. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully they would reach out to us and be proactive on that too.
Yes, and I do
Yeah.
know that, this did kind of start in the Climate Action and Sustainability Committee where where you see it listed here. And I'm sure that's a primary focus because the climate action is such a complex thing. Having someone focus on how to communicate that out is very important. But again, like I said, maybe they won't be half-time for very long, I don't think. I would support a full-time position because I know Halfmoon would be happy to take advantage of that resource. Good, okay. We'll move along next to page 62. Should the planning agency hire a consultant to assist in the development of the following work to support climate action and adaptation plan? So there's a solution capacity analysis, evaluate funding models to implement the plan, develop a strategy for homeowner and business engagement, blah, 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 blah. One-time cost estimated not to exceed $75,000. I will start only because I'm a member of the Climate Action Sustainability Committee, and we did have a brief conversation about this that Pam had brought up and just wanted to start thinking about. There's a lot of work going on to create the Climate Action and Adaptation Plan, which is going to be coming to the General Forum shortly. Then we have to implement. So there's the creation of the plan, and then you actually have to take action. And my comment there as well, again, it's those consulting fees. That seem like a large amount of money. We've had a great relationship, we being the committee, with Penn State throughout this process, and I had suggested that we try and maintain or grow that relationship, that maybe we can again utilize, to have a mutually beneficial relationship there to help with how to implement the plan rather than paying a consultant to do that. There's a lot of other resources around the climate action that we could tap into that possibly are free that Pam Adams is already looking into as well. So I'm hesitant and is this for this upcoming year, right? This is for the 2022. So I'm hesitant to say yes to this. So that's my comment, but I'll let Bob and Patty speak.
Go ahead, Patty.
If we can, if it's feasible that we can find an alternative resource that can do it in a timely manner and has the expertise, I think that's a lot of times what you run into is the time frame of what needs to be done, because if you have a plan, you want to try to get things implemented, and you also are going to receive more benefit the quicker you get something implemented. So I think there's a lot of ifs there, because when you're getting something at a lower cost or free, then you're also sometimes on a different timeline, or they also don't have the expertise you need. So
Very true.
I'd say if it lines up,
Yeah.
fine, but because what would happen if we don't have the expertise and if we don't approve this, then is our plan going to lag and not occur? Or our implementation of the plan?
It may, yes. And I will say this also, it is a self-imposed plan. Does that make sense what I'm saying? We are creating it, we are creating the timeline, we are creating the priorities and the strategy for it.
So we have flexibility on
I think
that?
we do, what
Okay,
I'm saying,
that's-
yeah. We can look and say, what do we really want to implement, what can wait?
Or maybe
those kind of
phase it
Yeah,
and look,
it's going to be phased anyway, I'm sure, but,
okay.
and what, Bob, before I turn it to you, one of the other things I wrote in here in my comments is, I would the second bullet item is to evaluate funding models to implement and scale. That I would put money towards, because maybe if we put money towards that, then we wouldn't need.
Or there could be
the-
grants or
yes,
something, or there
yeah.
could be some other.
So from a cost perspective of a consultant, that would be a worthy cost, I think.
So to me, it sounds like there needs to potentially be a little more thought into this, maybe before we approve that line item. I wanna
Yeah,
think about
and I'm, even though, oh, go ahead, Bob.
No, go ahead, finish.
I was just gonna say, I think Pam is doing a wonderful job in preparation and doing all of this work, and she wanted to get something there, or at least started to discuss that resources are probably going to be needed for implementation. So this was the first attempt at having the discussion around that. Go ahead, Bob.
Well, when I went over this afternoon, I misread that figure at the end, and for whatever reason, I read it as $7,500, and I was all for it at $7,500. Now that it's clarified for me at 75,000, I'm a lot more hesitant.
Yeah.
I agree with Danelle and Patty as far as, maybe we can kind of pump the brakes on this one and push it out to the following year, or see what other resources we can do, lean on first in the community, because yeah, up to 75 grand. Wow.
So Bob's a little bit hesitant.
Review
And
timeline
review-
and funding models?
Yes. Okay, wonderful. Next section is under the Center County Metropolitan Planning Organization, and I think there's just a couple notes under there. Any comments on those? Okay. Refuse and recycling, we don't participate in. There's just a note on. Oh, that is it for us. Yeah, regional fire protection was next. And then all parks. So that's it for us.
Wow. I feel left out.
That's
All
not
this
it.
fun stuff we could be going over for the next 3
Yeah.
hours.
'Cause-
That's not it. There's the CIP.
Oh, the capital improvement. Well, that was it for the program
Yes.
plan. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I mean, this thing here.
Yes. So, and I forgot that we didn't need to comment on some, because I started commenting on some of the other items. I'm like, oh, wait a second, I don't have to go any further.
Do you have any other general comments that you want to include?
Do we have any other general comments for the program plan in general?
Keep up the good work.
They did a nice
You guys
job.
do a great job, Eric.
Very nice job, yeah.
Great. Well, thank you all for the dialogue and feedback on that. And now you can ask Joe any questions or comments on the CIP.
Okay,
Thanks.
Thank you, Eric.
thank you. And is there any introduction you want to make, Joe?
Actually, really, I think this is a good information this year. The CIP, with the hiring of the facilities coordinator, he started to do some facilities conditions assessments. Mainly the pools were very heavy and cog building. So that type of information is starting to get populated into the CIP.
So
So
nice.
what you're almost getting is a work plan from the facilities condition assessment to a consistent information in the CIP for everybody to review and look at what's coming in a longer term work plan to what the 2022 looks like in terms of resources asked in the program plan up to a detailed budget. So with the creation of the facilities committee, this was one of the things that was very much desired, and you can really for the first time start seeing progress.
That is excellent.
So we'll start seeing a lot more things in the budget that are pertaining to the facilities, which made people be like, oh, because we have to get used to that, but we were being so reactive before and letting
Yeah.
things go downhill. This is
what we
just great.
want.
And having Lou in that position is even exceeding our expectations, and I think it's gonna end up saving us tremendous amount of money and
That is excellent.
repairs, but just to be proactive on things,
Yeah.
so
And hey,
it's great.
here, I'll throw this out there. Is Eric still on? Or did he leave?
Yeah.
Oh, so I'll throw this out there as a, again, trying to utilize the resources across municipalities. Once Lou gets to a place where he might have a little free time, it would be lovely for him to maybe do a little facility analysis on any other municipalities that may need that service. Just want to throw that out there.
Well, as you know from past history, we've been able to provide assistance to Halfmoon with HR topics and finance topics. So I think we can certainly see what we can do on that.
Because I think that's one of the benefits is that he's not just doing that for the COG things, but can we tap into that resource? That'd be lovely. Okay, that's all. So CIP, does anyone have any comments, questions, concerns, anything of note that you wanted us to specifically comment on? I don't have any comments.
No, I mean, you can see the municipal shares down there for going to Capitol this year. Halfmoon Township looks like it's about $5,000. You know, we've managed to keep that pretty level, so that's good.
Everybody okay? No comments? Questions?
Yeah.
All right. That is really it now. Was there anything else that you wanted to bring up with Joe here? Was there something else?
Oh,
the
yes.
solar purchase
So, before we
Solar
hit
power road.
the department reports.
Yes.
The solar power purchase group is ready to move forward with making a recommendation to hire Green Sky. It will be brought up at the COG General Forum, but they've asked that we get our voting member to say what the consensus of the board is.
Okay.
And it would be, I think it's $75,000 to hire the consultant, but Half Moon shares like, I think,
Very
136.
Very small.
It's very small
Yeah.
of a portion of
Very
this.
small.
Yeah.
But they did ask that we do provide a consensus as to whether or not we'd like to hire the consultant of Green Sky. And Joe can speak any more if there's.
Yeah, and as you guys know, this has been a project that, you know, we got right to the point of approving the RFP to be released, and COVID hit. So this really got held up for about a year and a half, and it's put some confusion and with the delays and everything along that lines as to where is the project. It didn't die off. It just, you know, we put other things in front of it. So now we're actually ready to go forward. And as everybody had mentioned before about pooling resources and doing things, this is a way to get a great study in there. And the goal is, from what we're spending the $75,000, this is not to, you won't be a member of an SPPA at the end of this. This is to get to the point of what does it make sense to do to go forward, so we have the information to go forward at that point. And the idea of the project was to sort of replicate what Penn State did, but by pooling resources from 15 different entities throughout the Center Region, Center County area. And yeah, it's been a really, really fun project and group to work with.
That's excellent. Yeah, I'm, yes for me.
Yes.
Bob?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Lovely. Okay, so I think that officially is all the time. If you want to go, Joe and Eric, you are more than welcome. You are more than welcome to stay as well.
Thank you. Good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
All right.
I think that the Steelers game.
Is there? Is there really? We always tell people watch out for deer when you leave. Please.
Over the line in Patton Township,
Okay,
so
good.
I know those deer well.
Good, good. Okay.
Have a good one.
Thank you, Joe. All right, next up, Denise and Scott maybe are going to give us an update on the Robotics 2021 road assessment and 5-year road improvement plan.
Yes.
Just awesome.
Very excited.
This is great. So I would like you to know Scott is available. He's actually on our Zoom call right now, our roadmaster.
Hi, Scott.
I asked him to join in case there were any questions about this.
Okay.
But basically what we did,
Hi, Scott.
what we did is we used the robotics road program that we had. Scott drove around and took there's a
Is
thunderstorm
that
warning.
thunder? Sorry,
Yeah.
that was very odd. It sounded very loud. Sorry about that. Apologies. Continue, please.
Scott drove around and took the photos of the roads, and I showed you that robotics program before. We paid this year to get the numbers assessed, and we used that, and we met individually, Scott and the engineer, Dawn, and I came up with our own assessments as to what the priorities should be. And then what we did is, based off of experience, we then interjected the numbers and came up with this as the next 5-year road plan. So this is all based off of the fact that this would be $160,000 per mile. That's for overlay and shoulder work. our crew would, of course, be doing some of the prep and helping out with the crack sealing beforehand, so we're putting a nice overlay on the road. The very first one would be in 2022. We would be doing Orchard Road from the state route to Cherrywood Way and Doe Drive. It would be about $135,000. Then in 2023, it will be Sawmill for $155,000. In 2024, it will be Orchard, the rest of Orchard Road to the back township line where it goes over the mountain. And then Autumn Circle. In 2025, it will be here at Municipal Lane.
Wow.
And then 2026 will be Chanelli Drive from Lutz Lane to about the 400 block. It's basically, I'll show you some photos here. It's where it kind of comes out of the tree line. All that shade is causing some of the damage to the roads. So here you can see, and I don't know why this all of a sudden shows up this way, but this is the dynamic segmentation. It was given an average rating of 3.23. This is about the length of the road to Cherrywood Way. This is State Route 550 here, you can see, and it would be to here to to Orchard or Cherrywood Way. That would be our first one. Then Doe Drive, it would be just this segment of Doe Drive.
So it's the segments that aren't in color on there.
Yes, yes. The colors are their numbers. So green
gotcha.
is like a 2, yellow is a 3, and then 4 is a very slip here of orange, and then red is 5s. And of course, most of our roads are 2s, we figured out, or they're
which is
right
nice.
along 3. So we picked ones that had very high ratings, and also based off of the opinions of the engineer and the roadmaster, was more susceptible to break apart and cost more. We want to avoid full
Maintenance-wise.
depth reclamation. We want to avoid larger costs in the long run. So we went through this. You can look at the photos anytime. But we also included in this is all of the robotics assessments by their road name, their length, and then their average score. So we're hitting almost in the top 10, we're hitting a bunch of them right away. The nice part is, and I will present this later, the amounts for all of these projects for the first 5 years can come 100% out of liquid fuels. We have it within our budget to do that. So we estimated some things around. We are trying to maximize the best of our money, but this is some projects. If you have questions, Scott is here and available to answer them.
Lovely.
Data-driven decisions, love it.
It's fantastic. My only comment is, can this get posted out on the website for residents, and we can make a little news post to say, hey, if you live on these roads in the next 5 years, you're going to get some updates, or, just so everyone knows what the plans are for the road improvements would be fantastic. Share this proactive planning. I love it.
We can definitely do that. And we'll go over this a little bit more as far as the funding goes during our budget discussions.
Okay. And in the discussion, you said that the first 5 years is basically we don't have to pay township dollars. It comes out of liquid fuels.
Right. So that is turn back money.
Yes.
So any of the roads that we've turned back to PennDOT, they pay us to
Right.
take care of a very small portion.
Yeah.
And then liquid fuels tax, which will slowly decrease over time because we have car manufacturers switching to electronic fleets and making that type of management happen. So obviously the legislature is talking about replacing it with something along the ways, but even with the fact that this will decrease, we still have enough to cover 5 years worth of road projects
That's
to
excellent.
get us started.
That's excellent. Okay.
Any
I love
questions
it.
for Scott?
I don't think so. So that would be, if anything crazy happened where like all of a sudden a giant pothole came up or something, what is our normal process for that? Because I don't even know.
Scott?
We would just take care of that out of general fund.
Okay, that's what I thought. But it is nice to have these planned projects not have to be out of general fund, and then we can use that for any kind of emergency situation.
Yes, and we,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
go ahead, Scott.
The only thing I want to say is with all the electric cars coming out, the liquid fuels is going down.
Right, that's what Denise just mentioned. However, there is so much used for that liquid fuels and the gas tax in general. They will have a replacement.
Yeah, there will be something that
Yeah.
the state and federal government will come up with that will fill that void. There's no way they're just gonna
Right.
let that evaporate.
Being an electric car owner myself, we follow any of that news because I'm waiting to get a registration fee of some kind on an annual basis. And I just will tell you, I'm happy to pay it. So,
Scott, I'm going to call on you to help me explain this. Scott and I talked about planning out some long-term funding for our roads. And I don't know what to call this thing. I call it the squeegee machine because this is what Dave had talked to the board about.
oh, yes.
And the way it was described to me is, you put hot mix in a pothole and then you squeegee the road. But we did include we'll go over this in budget. We included starting to do a week-long rental of that machine next year forward so that if a giant pothole opens up, we don't have to redo a whole road. We can just squeegee it. Scott, can you explain that a little better?
Well, Danelle, if you go straight across your road in the Sedona Hills,
Yeah.
there is a bad spot in that road going around the turn.
Okay.
And you would be able to fix that spot without doing any cutting. It would be perfectly smooth.
Oh, nice.
So it is asphalt, but it's thin like sand. So asphalt is like 1/4 inch stone.
Yeah.
So you have to mill that spot. With sand, it would be a perfect level
Oh.
setup.
Okay. Nice.
Yeah, I'm curious, when you guys actually have that thing in your possession, I'd like to see it.
Let's do a little show and tell. Let us know.
Yeah, this is new technology, I'm real curious.
Well, I'm trying to get him to come out and do a demonstration before we even rent it.
Oh,
Okay.
that'd be awesome.
Ask him to do the one on Toe Hill.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, that's the demonstration that we would like. Yeah.
I am losing you guys are coming and going with this storm, so.
Okay. Well, listen, Scott, thank you. Denise, thank you. Whoever else helped prepare, and I know you had Dawn and other people that you met with. It's wonderful to have this plan. We know we're doing for 5 years, at least somewhat. So that's wonderful. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that
Yeah.
that robotics.
The only thing I wanted to say was I wish Dave and Chuck were here to see this.
Yes, I do too. And hopefully, the report that was presented, will we get copies, or can you provide copies?
Yeah, I can do that. This was just my little quick
Okay.
This
reference
one
guide.
page thing's nice. With the,
Yes, the summary, the one-page summary is really nice. And
Yeah, I was actually about to add that one-page summary actually can be a very useful tool if anyone calls in looking for, hey, why isn't my road being taken care of, or that kind of thing. You have this to say, well, currently your road scores at XX.
Yep.
And it's just, we have to prioritize. And
Right.
it's something, again, tangible that you can show people, and it kind of helps smooth things out.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and I'd like to also just add quickly that the robotics program, even though it's data-driven, isn't completely 100% something you rely on. Scott and I had very different opinions about blue spruce. And I was going to pave it, and he went out and said, let's talk about this. And he showed me the alligatoring and explained, the traffic that's on that road versus, what are we putting into it, and the fact that there's mobilization. So if we hire a contractor to come out and do that for that small little piece, we're going to pay more for them to come out and do that. So it was a lot of the life experience and the data driven. Robotics also has scored some roads that are private roads, and also it's based off of those photos and those pictures. When you actually go and look, some of them aren't as bad as the photo makes it look. So it's an interesting tool that just helps support between experience and data.
So it's a piece of information that helps with the decision making. It's not the sole
Yes.
piece of information. Lovely.
Perfectly said.
Excellent, thank you. And Scott, thanks for commenting. I think maybe we'll make sure that Chuck and Dave even maybe watch the recording on YouTube, so that they can hear the discussion as well, because I know both of them are very interested in the
they'd be
rules.
interested if he does get a demo, they
Oh,
would definitely.
completely, yes.
We all want to see it.
Yes. All right. Any other questions, comments about the 5-year road improvement plan? Excellent.
Thanks, Scott.
Very big accomplishment this past year. Moving along to department report.
Thanks, have a good night.
Thanks, Scott. Moving along to department reports. Anything of note or comments or questions about treasurer's report?
No, we just typically we do the reports in the second meeting
Oh,
of the month, but this was we needed to have this first meeting.
oh, that's right. I'm not used to having this meeting. Okay.
Yeah, we've been canceling them. So the treasurer's report was ready to go. So it's available. We'll have another one for.
Okay. Lovely. And I do want to mention, kind of goes along with if you have any report for managers, but for the supervisors, we did receive a resignation letter from our solicitor, Jeffrey Stover. So I would like us to direct staff to look for another solicitor for replacement. Does anyone have question or comments? Any opposition? Okay, go forth and get us another solicitor. Thank you. Let's see. Okay, next we're on to the supervisor reports. So Patty, do you have any reports?
My facility meeting was canceled for this month, and finance was changed until the 19th, until after all the comments and things came in, but before the general forum. I do want to say that I did attend the facilities tour out at the UAJA solar.
I was on
fields.
vacation. I was bummed, but I've been out there before, but not to the new
Yes.
site.
It-
And
well, they have 20 acres. They have phase 1 and phase 2 now,
Mm-hmm.
both in operation, and it was very impressive. And they
Yes.
had the engineer that implemented there on the tour, plus Corey, and it
is impressive.
It is impressive what they've done, and that it will be sustainable and pay for itself. And they're even talking about the grazing the nearby farmer sheep in there too.
love it.
so-
Yes, I love that capability.
And it really, it sits in there, and with those anti-glare panels and stuff, and they haven't had complaints from neighbors.
Right.
So here's our power. No, so it was very nice. If anybody gets a chance, if they open that up again, it was informative. And Pam Adams was on the tour also.
Oh,
and,
great,
yeah.
great.
So, no.
Excellent. I see we are still live, I think. Are we missing?
We're checking.
Okay, we're still good. Sorry, we had a little electrical blip here, and we were making sure that we were still live and recording. Oh,
Yeah.
Are you good, Bob?
I just had the same thing, and my fuse box just made a big crack.
Uh-oh. Okay, well, Bob, if you want to give your
I
report.
might go.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you have any updates on any committee
I
meetings?
do not. My apologies. The week leading up to today, I was
Not well.
incapacitated, not well.
Okay.
And then I spent today scrambling to try and be ready for the program plan and everything, so I didn't have any time to do any reports.
Okay,
My
well,
apologies.
I do see some.
Denise, I do know that you kind of sat in at a couple for me.
Yes.
Do you have anything you might want to add?
I attended the Upper Bald Eagle COG. It was the first time I
Oh.
made it out there. Got to meet some of the other
Lovely.
supervisors as well. I don't think. They at the Upper Bald Eagle COG they approved the purchase of $15,000 for the Port Matilda Fire Company to get ropes and rigging. So that is if there is a car that goes over an embankment, they can use those to go over. Otherwise, they got to trudge through and climb up, whatever.
Yeah,
might be
it was a rope rig that they don't use very often, but it had been in storage in a not so wise place. It got wet, it got moldy. Then when it's moldy, it becomes brittle. They can't use it. And it's something that they don't use often, but it's a life-saving apparatus. So even if it gets used once a year, if it saves someone's life, it's worth it. So.
Okay.
And then we just took care of the solar power purchase working group. The only other thing, kind of sneaking back, I've been working with the fire companies, both Port Matilda and Warriors Mark, on their budgets for the next year. We did receive all the requests in for equipment. We'll go over that in budgeting time. But
Okay.
as a reminder, anybody who would like some sort of donation needs to provide that by August 1st of the year before.
Okay.
So
All
that's
right.
just a plug for everybody to know that's the date.
Lovely.
Say that again, you need to donate to the fire company?
Anybody that wants any type of donation, if you don't, August 1st is my deadline.
From us.
Yeah.
So the fire companies,
From the fire
EMS, they need to let us know so that we can get it in the
So those
budget.
requests for equipment, if I don't receive it by August 1st,
They're not
they,
going in the budget.
if we can do it, great, but it's,
Yeah, okay, I
Yeah.
remember now, thank you.
Okay. All right, and I have two committee updates. One is it used to be the Transportation and Land Use and Public Services Environmental. Now it is called LUCI, Land Use and Community Infrastructure. So just to let everybody know, that's the proposal. There is a resolution to transition to this new team, this new committee, coming to the general forum, so you will all see that. We had a presentation on accessory solar, which was very nice, and there's an effort from the committee staff to try and create a hub kind of website that will help residents with navigating if they want solar. So has some timeline information. It'll possibly have some local resources, the local solar installers. They're also trying to figure out, and I suggested this as well, to try and connect resident to resident. So if you have had a positive, well, or negative solar installation, you might be able to reach out to somebody to ask questions, get references, that kind of thing. So that was another thing that we talked about. Housing is still something that they are kind of working on as a committee. Housing related items might come up, but to include affordable housing as a specific topic, we were not necessarily in favor of for that particular committee, because that committee is doing a lot. So we will hear different reports about housing. And I just wrote this down because I thought it was very interesting about housing costs. One of the data points was from June of 2020. In the center region, which is the 6 municipalities, the average or median, I can't remember now, I apologize, it might have been median housing cost was around $400,000. In Center County, the whole county, it was $229,000. So in the center region, our median housing cost of greater than $400,000 is a little crazy. So that's a big topic that staff at COG are working with local community members and builders and developers, and there's going to be more coming around that, but I just wanted to highlight that because I thought that was interesting. Did you have any comment? I see your face, but
that's why I asked for the exemption for
Living-
because I
can't afford it.
It's ridiculous.
yeah, I know. So that's all from Lucy. So there's going to be some more information about the solidification of transitioning to that new committee coming to the general forum. And then the climate action and sustainability, the primary thing that we talked about, and Pam and others are working very hard on writing this climate action and adaptation plan. So they've done a lot of work, and you'll see her little diagram about where we are in this process, about doing an inventory assessment, starting to come up with surveying. We did the community engagement, and now coming up with a plan. So we just reviewed some sample sections to make sure that it's understandable, that the flow of it makes sense. And again, Pam and her team of folks that are working on it are doing a fantastic job. So I think you'll enjoy that. Let me see what else. Some members, Pam is one of them, and I think Betsy Whitman, who's the chair of the Climate Action Sustainability Committee, I think she's involved in it also. There's going to be a press conference at UAJA September 1st, with Solar United Neighbors, called SUN, Solar United Neighbors, to launch the Center County Solar and EV Charger Co-op. I don't know too much about that, but we're involved, so if you're interested to see September 1st, UAJA, I think it's going to be televised. There will be some information, and Pam and Betsy will be there and have a few statements about what we are doing in the center region, so just about local government's influence and what we're doing in sustainability efforts. So, that was it for my reports. And any other comments for the good and welfare? All right, seeing none, meeting adjourned. Thank you.